Hey guys, welcome. We're on Thursday of week 4, and we're reading from Luke chapter 6, verses 27 to 36 from the ESV. But I say to you who hear, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who abuse you. To one who strikes you on the cheek, offer the other also. And from one who takes away your cloak, do not withhold your tunic either. Give to everyone who begs from you, and from one who takes away your goods, do not demand them back. And as you wish that others would do to you, do so to them. If you love those who love you, what benefit is that to you? For even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what benefit is that to you? Oh, I just did that again. For even sinners do the same. And if you lend to those from whom you expect to receive, what credit is that to you? Even sinners lend to sinners to get back the same amount. But love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. And your reward will be great, and you will be sons of the Most High. For he is kind to the ungrateful and the evil. Be merciful, even as your Father is merciful.
Oh, super easy.
Oh,
Easy
yeah.
peasy. I think you guys get it.
Yeah.
Discussion over.
I mean, I the ending is so good because your reward will be great and you will be sons of the Most High. And
Yeah.
then it says, for he is kind to the ungrateful and the evil.
Right.
And it's like, we're so lucky because he is, because compared to God, we are evil
Right.
and the ungrateful. Like
Right.
before and it's because of his such great mercy that we're allowed, we were given the gift of his sacrifice to us.
Yeah. I don't necessarily know that that's what he's intending here.
I know.
Okay.
But
In the language, I think he's literally saying, because like it even says like rain falls on the righteous and the unrighteous.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, going back to Jonah, 'cause we're studying Jonah we saw it on
We just
Wednesdays.
finished.
I know.
We're done.
I forgot. Okay. We're done with Jonah. He's over. He was last week. But he didn't want to tell the Ninevites his message because he was like, I know that you're a merciful God
yeah.
and that you'll like forgive them. And he was mad about that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that
This
when you
goes
look
in
at,
so
yeah,
good.
when like love your enemies, do good to those, but also he is kind to the ungrateful and the evil. Like he shows mercy across the board.
Right. And then, because showing that though, it's like giving mercy and giving someone and being loving in the face of them doing wrong to you just flies in the face of them in a way where it's like almost like, I mean, any reasonable person would almost question like, wait, what am I doing?
Right.
Like, what is happening right now?
Right.
And then like this person should be upset with me. They should be
Right.
angry at me.
Right.
How can they have like a loving heart or at least show me kindness in the face of me taking advantage of them, or in the face of me striking them, or in the face of me doing ill will towards them?
Right.
But then to like react or respond in loving kindness like God does, it shows them a true heart of real love
Right.
that is, I mean, it's incomprehensible. It like to our minds,
Yeah.
it's like there's so much inside of me often that where it's like, I'm not gonna let you get that over me, or like I'm gonna get back.
Yeah. I think too, just something as simple, like there have been so many times where I've like been on the phone with customer service people or like been in an establishment and maybe things are like a bit chaotic or there's a lot of people who have had to wait a long time. Or maybe like on the phone, they're helping resolve an issue or something. And I can't tell you the amount of times that people have been like, thank you so much for your, and they're not just saying like, thank you for your, like, they're like clearly grateful. And I'm always like, I didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
But then it always makes
Yeah.
me go, the next thought I have is like, what are other people doing to you? You know,
Yeah.
like how often are we taking out our frustration, our anger
Yeah.
on people in customer service positions because they're the face of the company? And the irony is that 90% of the time, those people have no control
Yeah.
over what's happening, but then they're the ones who have to deal with
Right.
upset customers. And not only do you get to do what you're saying, like where you're kind of being a light but also you're bringing some loving kindness to that person's day. I mean, it can really make a difference. I mean, my dad, always growing up, he would find out people's names. He would say hi to them. He would always want to tell them a joke. But the way I saw him treat people, but then more so the way I saw those people change based on the way he treated them. Like, I don't think he ever said to me, now, honey, this is the way we treat people. This is what you should do. It was just like my watching that person respond to his kindness and his love, and just like him seeing them for a moment that day really laid an impression on me, where like I would then try to go do that as I got older, because I saw what it did for my dad and how it can like turn around a relationship. Like someone can kind of start, like what you're saying, like someone can kind of start off on a bad foot, and like if you continue through kindness, now sometimes it doesn't change, but sometimes they do, like they're all of a sudden diffused, like they're like oh,
well, I mean, what do we often say to the kids, or that you often hear, is like hurt people,
right?
And so it's like someone is in desperate need of love and hasn't been shown good love.
Yes,
they're the ones oftentimes lashing out,
right?
And so when you're able to do that, you can almost do like an emotional jujitsu on them,
right?
Where you take them and divert them and change them, and oftentimes they don't know how to respond or don't know how to do it, and they might not in that moment like have a flip 180,
right?
But at least they have like a touch point,
right?
And you at least like started something, and you might not be the one that like brings that into fruition, but it's like you were a blessing to them,
right?
When maybe they weren't a blessing to you,
and maybe they don't even view it as a blessing.
Well, no,
but you're still living called. We were I called Byron at work, and his coworker was with him, and almost every single time I call, if this one coworker is there, he just puts me on speakerphone, because it just turns into like, otherwise he'll be like, well, what did he say? What did she say? And like, so then we were talking, and he was like saying something about work and kind of being like frustrated about something. And I said, well, do you show up for work like for the work, or do you show up for work for yourself? Like, are you doing your best because you want to do your best, or are you doing your best for work? And he's like, well, no, I want to do my best. And I was like, exactly. So like, it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters how much recognition, like obviously, like, again, like if this isn't unhealthy, like I said at the bottom here, this is not a call to remain in abusive relationships or environments. That's not what this is. God is talking about the way that we value and we look at, like, if I'm looking at someone or having an interaction with someone, am I only looking at what that person is going to give me back? Or am I looking to give without receiving something back? And that giving, because it says, lend, it says, but love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting nothing in return. Like, that expecting nothing in return goes back to more than just and lend. You know what I mean? Like, our return is not through that person. Our return is through Christ. Our return is through God. And so like when we show up somewhere, we're showing up with our best foot forward, because God calls us to that and tells us we'll be rewarded for it. Which sometimes there can be a reward in it. Like sometimes you can like have an interaction with someone where all of a sudden they don't look like they're having a good day or something. And you can say, like, I like to compliment people. Like, I like to pick out like their hair or a piece of jewelry or clothes. Or sometimes I just look for a point of connection. Right. So like, what books do they like to read, or music they like to listen to, like something. And it's amazing when you find those points of connection, or you give them a compliment, how someone can go from looking literally like dejected to just like full of energy and just joy, because they're talking about something they care about, or they got a compliment, so then now they feel good. But that doesn't always be the case. Sometimes you're nice to people and they're just like, someone was just telling a story where they were like saying these nice things. It was Michelle to someone, and the person was just not not having it. But that doesn't mean that you're not still called to that.
Well, right. And even if that person like is your enemy or whatever's going on, they're still a child of God.
Right.
And God still loves that person.
Right.
And so like
which I think, like, sorry, I just want to throw this in there. Like, it is so easy in today's society with everything being like so much stuff being online, whether it's commenting online or making a post online, or simply just like the lack of face-to-face interactions that we have. Like even if you're calling a company to deal with something, you're talking to someone on the phone, like the farther away you are from that person, the easier it is to dehumanize them.
Mm-hmm.
But every single person is a child of God. I don't remember if I talked about this in one of our earlier devotions, but Evelyn asked me if God knew someone was going to do evil, why would they allow them to be born?
Mm-hmm.
And I've thought about that before. But when she asked me that, I was like, that's a good question. I don't really have a good answer. But then as I thought about it, I was like, well, we have free will and we have the choice to still do good.
Mm-hmm.
Even if evil was like, you have the choice to do right. And you can turn around at any point and start doing what's right, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, does that person not deserve the chance to make a right decision because they have potential for evil?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You still have to allow them to make the choice.
But that's what, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's real. I mean, I know it's real, but I don't know if that's the answer. But it really struck me that I was like, oh, like that would be like literally taking away any opportunity for evil. And then I was like, at what point has someone made wrong enough choices to never be allowed to be born?
Yeah.
Anyways, that was more just thinking about like no matter what point you are, the person you're talking to is a child of God.
Yeah.
And they are also a human and they deserve love and kindness.
Right.
And I think that's why God calls us to such, because if every person acted this way, this love, this world would be filled with so much more love and kindness, and there'd be so much more healing happening because people would be available to continually offer that little bit of peace in someone's life.
And it's good instead of trying to like seek your own revenge or your own justice or whatever you want to like validate you and what you feel like you have going on inside you. It's like, no, seek God's justice, seek God's mercy, seek his kindness.
Right.
And be spreading that out, because how what God said to Jonah in the end was like, is it right for you to be mad about this?
Right.
Because that person I love.
Right. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow.